And now I would like to share my screen. So just to share my screen. Okay. I'm expecting that you are looking at my screen now, and I have my Visual Studio Code open now. So we are all set. I'm just waiting for 1.5 minutes or 1 minute before we formally start. All right, so by that time, as I said, if you are joining the class right now, just put a message and we'll be connecting with through the message. Okay. So I see the last message from Jennifer. Good morning. And there are some people who are just right now joining in. So please, if you join just now, just put a message of hello, hi, good morning. Corina, good morning. Angelica, hello. We have got 36 people. So we are still, I'm just still waiting for a clock to just take over, like, to 9 p.m. your time and 7:30 my time. So we start. Jay, good morning. Christopher, good morning. Okay, and just a quick feedback. Yes, Bradley, just a quick feedback. We have, you can see my screen with Visual Studio Code, which has the notes from the last class that we did. Emmy, good morning. And Bradley, good morning. So can I have a quick thumbs up from anyone just to show? Ashley, thank you very much. I can see your thumbs up. I don't know if someone else is also doing, because on Teams, Janil, I can see yours. John, I can see yours. Yes, thank you. So Jana, thank you, Ethan. So actually, it was just so yes, we are on time. The clock says 7:30 for me, and of course, hopefully it would be saying 9 for you. So from the front part, we are running two courses, and both of the interesting part is that on my GitHub repository and also here, we have got both of the folders over here. So right now I'm in my front end folder in my, again, week 1 and 2 that we started yesterday, on Monday. So I'll be talking about that. So these were our notes for the class. And today, what we are going to do, as I told you, that we will be just trying to make some, So a quick review. We talked about that how the ecosystem of web works, World Wide Web. And I told you that World Wide Web actually works with something called protocols. There are lots of protocols that are there. And those protocols, like protocol is a way of communication on web. World Wide Web uses this way of of communication, how to send information from one system to the other. So WWW uses the protocols, and we saw that in a URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, the web address, the first very part of the URL is always the protocol, be it HTTPS, be it HTTP. So we talked about that. It's basically the protocol through which the communication happens. That's something that we have to keep in mind. Okay, after that, if you see that we have talked about that actually World Wide Web and Internet they are both different from each other. Internet is the big giant network of networks, and so there are lots of millions and trillions of networks being connected together to the network. And World Wide Web is a way to access resources on the internet. So World Wide Web is just like a sort of a directory, virtual directory over there. So as I said, we have discussed, it uses different protocols: TCP/IP, HTTP, HTTPS, things like that. So to secure our end-to-end communication, we use HTTPS, the secure communication, because we saw that we ran some commands, and we saw that we can never trust all the machines in between ourselves and the other side. So we need to have something that is securing our communication over the internet. And that's what HTTPS is doing there. Then we talked about domain name, which was human understandable names. And we talk about that these names are, for example, we know keyin.com, but we don't know 124.124.124, etc., 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 which is, of course, a lifesaver, because if we had to remember those numbers in this octet format, that would have been a hell difficult thing for everyone to remember those numbers. So they have given us the human understandable names, which is called domain name. and that domain name actually maps to an IP address. And whenever it maps to an IP address, we get that one. Anyhow, we talked about there is something called the concept of port after the URL, and that port is again the area, the point from which the communication is happening. And we saw that there are two ports which are default. We have discussed two only. So 80 is for HTTP communication, 443 is for HTTPS communication. And I gave you an example. You know that when you were using live server, you have always had this colon 3000, colon 5500. And I told you there are 65,000 around port. So you can use any one of them. That's not a problem. One more important thing that I just discussed, protocol plus domain plus port, they basically make origin, and origin is something through which browser or internet understands that some resource is trustworthy or not. If any of the thing is not appropriate, the origin is not recognized, and maybe we are stopped from visiting that website, that there is something wrong with that one. Please don't visit that. So that's the origin doing for us, right? Then in the end, towards the end, we talked about query string, that extra information sent with URL, and we saw some of the demos there as well. Question mark is use equal to skin and modern and things like that. And we have just done that. So let's just start our today's session. And to start our today's session, so just remember, I was randomly just placing certain files, and so we had error.html that I just showed you, which was coming as an error. So I don't think any need of this right now. Just be mindful, because when you are looking at the recording, or maybe you're looking at the notes later on, I don't need that error.html. Rather, I'll just remove that. And why I'm just doing that, because I want to keep my folders maybe a bit cleaner. So in week 1 and 2, again, the same folder that we had, I am starting to create my web pages. But before creating web pages, inside that, I can call it the pages that I am about to create. And in these pages, I'll just create the first page, index.html. And I want to work on this index.html. So be very sure that you know what's going on. We are in front end. We are in lectures folder, week 1 and 2. And I have created a folder called pages, so that where I would write some of the pages and things like that. And we'll just talk about them over there, right? Okay, so I want to just tear apart or talk about some of the HTML elements that you have known. And this is, I told you that I'm expecting that you guys know all these EMET abbreviations to create an automatic document, or you can call it a boilerplate type of something. And here I would like to just talk about this document a little, because I know that you have seen that, but I would like to just emphasize on few very important aspects of this document. Okay. So if we look at this document, and this is the facility that we can just contract or expand these tags. So the first line is actually telling us that the document that I'm going to write will be an HTML document. So document type, the doc type, HTML. What I'm about to write is a document type or HTML. One very important thing. This is not treated as an element or a tag. Now, here comes the concept of elements or a tag. I hope you guys know what is a tag in HTML. So this is our lecture for today, lecture September 13, right? We are starting. So number one, we are discussing what is a tag. I hope you guys know a tag is a combination of less than, some text in between, some text, and greater than. It is called a tag in HTML. What does that mean? If I write B, you know that bold is a tag maybe. If I write H1, you know H1 is a tag. If I write P, you know paragraph is a tag. So a tag is actually, apparently what is a tag? Tag is actually a combination of less than, some text or something, content, and then greater than sign. I do really hope that you guys know about that. But then let's talk about the other one. The other thing is called element. Does anyone know what is an element? Just for out of curiosity, if someone can give me a definition of element in HTML, because that's That's something that I would, I want you to know about this, because we will be using these terminologies to do our advanced stuff. I should know what is an element. I should know what is a tag. Anyone can give me a quick definition of element, or I should do that? So element is actually, you know what's element? It's a collection of starting tag and some content inside that and ending tag. Exactly, Stephen. Thank you very much. That's the definition. So an element is actually starting tag, the contents in between, and the ending tag. Yes, it's a fundamental building block. So if I ask you, here is something that, of course, you should know what is element, but here is something that I suspect maybe if you guys know about that. So if I say that the starting tag, any text or anything in between, and the ending tag. This is called ending tag. How to end a tag? Just put a forward slash and it ends a tag. This collectively will be called as an element. So an element has an opening tag, closing tag, some text in between. Now, here comes a point. Do you know what are empty elements? So we have discussed the definition. If something is with the opening tag, then closing tag, and then some content in between, it will be called as an element. Done. We have discussed about that. Now my question is, what are empty elements? Because we'll be needing that. We'll be using. You have used them. I don't know if you know them by the name or not. Yes, you're right. An empty element, for example, is a one that does not have any contents. For example, so you have given a very nice example. I'll give you another example. You have given BR. So BR is line break. BR does not have a closing tag. And you know why it is not there? Because BR does not contain anything inside that. There is no content of BR. So if there is no content of an element, rather than making pairs of it, we do what? We just, after the name of the tag, we just go there and I put a forward slash and a closing. It's called empty tag, empty element, and an element without contents. So we say an element without contents. That's called an empty element. And I'll give you ample examples. If you come over here, if I show you here, do you see this meta? Meta has something in between. I'll talk about that. But if you see that meta does not have a pair. Yes. So Stephen, yes, it would be, yes, image is also one of them. You're right. Image is also one of them, but I'm right now showing what I have right now on my screen. So meta is an empty element because meta does not have a pair. Meta here also is an empty element. So how to make an element empty element or without contents? We just put, as you're right, as Stephen has mentioned, IMG, if you have seen image tag. Yes, then we have HR, horizontal ruler. Horizontal ruler. Horizontal ruler. It's basically, they are all empty tags. Wonderful, Patrick. So it's basically empty elements. Now, the third thing that I want you to just recognize is attributes. And what are attributes? The properties used for spaces. No, BR is used for new line, Jacob, new line. I will give you ample examples. Don't worry. Right now we are just looking at, okay, there are some elements. So BR is line break. When we put this BR, it is basically line break. So attributes are the properties of elements or tags, of elements, you can call it. What does that mean? If I come back here, so meta is there. Then it has another property, character set is equal to UTF-8. HTML is in itself a tag, but there is an attribute being added. What is attribute? If you add an extra feature or if you add an extra property of an element, it is called properties. It's called attributes, sorry. Now, we have not seen that, but of course you would have done that before. If I just come here and if I write P, by the way, a shortcut, if I want to apply directly an ID to an element, how would I do that? I would write P without a text sign, hash, and something point. For example, P hash point, and if I hit enter, I will get a PID is equal to point. Did you guys know about this shortcut? Or if you don't, I will just give me, I'm just, trying to have a review as well as few things that I feel that will be very important for you for future. So again, let me tell you, if I want to make a paragraph tag with an ID, what I'll do, I'll say P hash is for ID. So whatever ID I want to give, for example, I want to give point. So if I just write P hash point and I hit enter, I get a paragraph with an ID is equal to point. Now, if I want to apply a class to a paragraph, I would say P dot, for example, a demo class, for example, hit enter. I will get a paragraph with class is equal to. Christopher, did you guys know about this little shortcuts? These two little shortcuts. Again, it's something that will make your life very easier. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes, exactly. That's wonderful. So Christopher says that did not use. Okay, so those who did not use it, I'll just though not a problem, not a problem. So I'll talk about that. But I right now this is not my topic, but I'm about to tell you. Actually, this ID is called attribute. I have given some attribute and some value. So ID gives, okay, Manny, that's not a problem. But Manny, did you understand this one? I'll just repeat that. I want to have, for example, I want to have a div with some ID paragraph, PP para one something. So I'll say div hash para one, enough. Hit enter. You get div ID is equal to para one. So Manny, you can see that how much life will become easier if we know these little shortcuts when we are coding. That would be wonderful. If I show you another interesting thing. Yes. Uh, Ellen, that's a wonderful question. Ellen, bear with me. And right now, because it's not my, I'll discuss each and everything. Don't worry about that. But right now, just bear with me that, okay, there's something called ID or something in class, but there is a day and night difference between both of them, right? I'll talk about that. Don't worry. But I was talking about a little like, shortcut. So for example, I want to have a div that have an ID of para one and that has a class of demo. I can write like this as well. Hash para1 dot demo. And if I hit enter, look at that, Alan. I am getting div ID is equal to para1, class is equal to demo. Wonderful. And Alan's question is very, very appropriate. What is the difference between ID and class? That I have not told you, but I'll discuss that in a very much detail right now. Bear with me. Alan, are you getting that one? I know that I'll explain why we use ID over the class or class over the ID and what specifically. But was I, so what was the topic that I wanted to tell you? I wanted to tell you these are called attributes. So this div has a special ID called para1. This div has a class applied to it called demo. Yes, Patrick. Yes, I will definitely do that. Don't worry about that. And that's, that this is related to much more to CSS. But again, I'm not going into that one. And Patrick, I'll just repeat all those. I'll just, try to fill in that gap as well if there is some. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm just, taking this. So again, attributes. What are attributes? If so again, I have two divs here. This is one div and this is one div. You will say this div has extra properties. And what are extra properties? It has an ID attribute. It has a class attribute. This is called attributes, the properties of element. And I've given you an example. So I'll just write here div ID is equal to, if I write para1. So you will say hello. And this is, so this is called, ID is called attribute. So I'll write here ID is called attribute of div tag. Make sense, everyone? Again, I just told you some of the shortcuts, but this was not primarily my topic. But I just try to tell you a few things along the way we are discussing so that you feel that, okay, you are learning something new as well alongside. Okay, so that's called attributes. Now, last but not the least, I want you to understand before we start real coding. I want to understand. I want you to understand. It's called HTML entities. Entities or HTML entities. They are very interesting. Entities. What's that? I'll just show you something interesting. I want an output and I want to display this output. So I say that H1 hello world. Now, you know the output of this document. And of course, you will definitely know that. Of course, you have done that a lot of times. So I'll just run that with the live server and I'll show you. Okay, my page is running and I'll just show you that. So nothing is special. My page, my hello world is shown. What if I want this as the output? Like it should be H1 written and then hello world should be written. Are you guys getting that one? How I want to have an output where H1 is written. But you know, since this is HTML, it will always be rendered. What do I mean? I'll just show you. If I write body again, I want to display this word body and then end body and hello should be written in between. But if I hit save, I don't see any tag. Why? Because body is rendered. Is everyone making sense? Body gets rendered because it says, okay, someone has by mistake written body twice, but I know body has to be rendered. I cannot type it over there. Now, if I want to type this body word over there in the exactly the same way, the way to do it is called entities in HTML. So I will write ampersand LT and semicolon, ampersand GT and semicolon. Now, I'll tell you, don't worry about that. What is here? I'll just again come back over here and I'll say ampersand LT semicolon, ampersand GT semicolon. Now see the magic on the right side. If I hit save, did you guys use these entities? Maybe you used it for register, like, for copyright symbol. If you write copy, it will be copyright symbol. If you write reg, so it's registration symbol like that. You see that these symbols can be produced in HTML. Now, first question, did you guys know about these entities? And what is the entity? First of all, let me just tell you, entity is something that comes between this, and you write something in between, and that become a special character. And I have given you first example of a special character as if I write LT is less than. If I write this, it will make a less than symbol. You see, less than symbol. If I write ampersand GT, it will make a greater than symbol. Are you guys with me? I hope you are understanding. And you see that it has made a copyright symbol. It has made a registered symbol, or whatever. We can make all these kind of things on our web page by using entities. And what is an entity? Entity is actually ampersand with semicolon. Jenny L, did you guys use that before? Because you have just responded, so that's why I'm asking. Did you guys use them before? Okay, so not everyone looks like. Okay, you have not used that. Sanjanika has used that. Okay, no problem. If you have not used that, you will the copyrights. Okay, that's wonderful. I'll just, and you might be thinking why I'm just emphasizing on these four things, because I want to have. Okay, so Tina, are you getting now that ampersand and this one? And again, by the way, you don't need to guess something. I will write HTML entities. And see here, there is a whole lots of table of entities. Okay, so you see that here is the entity and there will be a table as well. Less than sign ampersand LT, greater than sign ampersand GT. If you want to make an ampersand symbol, ampersand AMP, double quotation, and the cent sign, the pound sign, the yen sign, the euro sign, and up to so on. And there are lots of, there are tables for that one. You want to make special characters of some languages, you will write a something. So there are ultimately, a lot of, and I'll just, if I show you, there will be a table for the developer, here as well. So you see that these are all the list of them and official list of character entities. If you come here, you will see that lots of entities are here, and you cannot count even them. And you want to use something special, you have the entities for them. You write, so you see that it says colon and that's something. So if I just come back over here And I just put, randomly, let's take something. So it says circled circ, for example. So if I come here and if I write ampersand circle, so you see circle arrow left as well. It is just copying by itself. If I just save that and I come back to you see that this is a refresh type of an icon or something. So there are lots of them. You can always have a list of them. You can go to the list online and just try to find out whatever you need. You can use that entities and you can print that over there. Is that good with everyone? I hope that you are enjoying the content. So this is entities. Now, having discussing that, now I'm coming back to my original thing, which I wanted to discuss. If I just come here and I close that one, and I wanted to just, tear apart this document. And if I hit save, of course, everything will go away. Now see here. So HTML document has three main. So again, I was telling you, if something starts with a tag sign and sign of exclamation, remember it's not an element or a tag. It is actually a declaration or a special thing. I hope I made my point. I'll just made my point. So after discussing that, I'm saying if something starts with tag sign and sign of exclamation, it is not an element. It is either an announcement or any other special thing. What is this any other special thing? I'll tell you. What does that mean? If something starts with this one, do you know? I hope you guys would have know that in HTML, if you want to write comment. So for example, I want to run comment. So control / again, command / or whatever. This is a comment. So see here, do you guys notice that comment is starting with sign of exclamation and tag sign? And you say that this is not an element. So I'm just telling you that the first line over here is not an element. Rather, it is the declaration that document that I'm going to make will be of HTML type. Does that really make sense to everyone? I hope that's making sense. So after that, I want to emphasize after that, an HTML page has three main syntactic sections. And I want to tell you, I want you guys to remember that this is very important. HTML element has three main sections on its page. If I open that up, you will see all three over here. The first is called HTML element. Second one is head. Third one is body. I feel that this should be written over here. So three main sections of HTML document. Now, when I say section, I'll tell you another important thing. HTML document. Now, three main, when I say sections, I will say syntactical sections. And why I do that? Because I will be making another exception now. The three main syntactical sections of HTML document are, the first is HTML and end HTML. The second is head. And the third one is body. They're very, very important, and I want you to understand them because I'm about to discuss a corollary to that one. HTML and HTML. If I come here, this is the most important main section. So my whole web page, everything goes inside HTML. Number one point. So everything, like everything that I want to put on my web page, everything goes inside this element. Whether it is head, whether it is something that you want to show on web page, whether something that you don't want to show on web page, everything goes inside HTML. Number one. What is the second section? If I open this HTML does have two main, again, inside one of them is head. What is head? Head is a very important section. Head, first of all, always executes or interprets. I'll just write both of the terms. Interprets first wherever you place it. Now, head is very important. In head, first of all, it executes first in an HTML document. the head will always execute first. What do we place in head? We try to place the scripts, and as you guys used to do, scripts, styling, and meta information inside head section. Now let's come back here and let's see what is head section. Head section has some meta information. What is the character set I will be using? UTF-8. And this line is for adaptive or responsive websites. I'll talk about that a lot. That there is meta name is viewport. Viewport is width device equal to width, whatever is the width available. Initial scale is equal to 1.0. So just occupy that one. So it has then title. So only title is one element that is directly or indirectly visible on the output other than title. So you saw title comes over here. So I'll just write over here. So I'll write first page. And if I hit save, and if I show you the page, that title is something that is directly visible on that one. Other than title, nothing comes up directly on our web page. Make sense, everyone? So title is the only part. Then you might have, you have done that. You might have a style tag over here. You might have a script tag over here, something like that. You can have lots of things over here, but nothing is visible on the web page other than our title page, the title of the page. But head is an important section. And I'll tell you, because I remember someone was telling me yesterday that we were told to put a script in the head section. And the very reason was, remember what I told you right now, that it always executes or interprets first. So Peter Peter and everyone wanted you to have your script ready when your body loads. Did that point make sense to you? You are putting your script inside that because head is always executed first. So if there is a button that I need to click on the page, that button's information or the code should be already loaded when the body appears. Does that statement make sense to everyone? That's why you were asked to put your script in the head. That head always executes first. And if you remember, I told you that I will be putting mostly script on the body. There is a very important reason that I'm not telling you right now, just keeping you curious about it. I'll tell you. You were told to put a script in the head because head always executes first. And they wanted that if there is some code that should be already interpreted before the body is visible to the user, because there might be a button that you want to click. There might be something that you want to do on. I hope I made the point clear. Anyhow, the third part is the body part. And again, body is everything that you want to show to user. You want to show user. Yes, exactly. But this is right now we are discussing HTML rather. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. I'll talk about those, Patrick. I'll just don't worry. So body, everything you want to show user comes inside body. Now, why I have emphasized on these three sections, please bear in mind. A valid HTML page, a valid web page should definitely have these three elements inside that. Now, please take my words because this is very important. That's why I made all this ground. A valid HTML document, should always have above three sections. Allow me to say something. They are mandatory sections for a web page. Are you guys getting that one? A valid HTML. And what is a valid HTML page? I'll talk about a valid HTML. Above means, Marlana, I'm talking about these three sections: HTML, head, and body. So these three are the mere bones of an HTML page. You understand, Marlana? So I'm saying should always have above three section. Above three means HTML, head, and body. Now, why I'm saying that? No, Patrick. Patrick, that is the concept that I want to remove from your mind. Listen, if you just come up with these three elements, head, body, and HTML, I would give you all 10 out of 10. I'll say, yes, your web page is all a valid web page. It has all the ingredients of syntactically required elements. It means if you come with a document that does not have body in it, Listen, Patrick, and this is a very important concept I want you to remember. You come with this document where there is no body. You know what I would say, Patrick? I would say you have syntactically missed out a very, very important, even though your document will be showing the output, but I will say that your document is missing a very important syntactical part, which was body, and you did not use that. Patrick, was I able to make my point clear? What I'm trying to say here, where I'm trying to take all of you, that if you come with a document with any of these things missing, any of this body missing or head missing. So if you come with a head missing, there is no head in the document. You come up with the document, Patrick, and you ask Naman whether my document is a valid or a good HTML document. My answer will be big no. Why? Because you are missing a very important syntactically required element, which is head, and you need to put that head over here if you want to make it a valid, valid HTML document. Patrick, I'm not talking about footers. I'm not talking about headers. I'm not talking about main. I'll talk about them, but I'm trying to make a mind of everyone. And I would really want a quick feedback from everyone that an HTML merely, yes, not priority. It's not a priority, Patrick. It's, you can say it's a requirement. It's more of a requirement than a priority. So I will say that if you come up with a web page which does not have these three sections, I will say you have missed out something syntactically, and it's bad. You should not miss anything from HTML head or body, even though browser runs your document. I will never like your document. Patrick, you know what I mean? So it's actually, these three are the syntactical requirements of a web page. Now, now here comes the point where students start getting confused. After that, there are certain sections which are called semantical sections. Now, please bear in mind, I have given the previous one as syntactical sections. When we say syntax, do you guys know syntax means what? Syntax means the rules or the grammars, rules or grammar of the language. Are you guys getting that one? So something that if you don't follow, you are destroying the rules of a language. But here comes some semantical sections that you have made, but you might not have realized. There are certain semantical sections that come in HTML, which are not mandatory. As I told you, these are mandatory, but they are not mandatory, but they are very interesting and important. One of them is called, so I'm just telling you, header section. Now, please bear in mind, it is not head. People start confusing header with head. I usually get some documents after this discussion that someone will come with this header. Now, again, please remember, I would say that this is a very bad HTML document. Do you guys know why I'm saying that? Because you are using header, which is an optional semantical element. If it is not there, I'm not worried about it. But you missed out a very important from here. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Never do this. The head is head, and always head will be there syntactically. You can never place head with anything else. Head is the semantical element. While as this header is not head, it's not mandatory. Again, it's an optional section. It's not mandatory. It comes inside body element always. I would be happy if I can have a quick feedback from you. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Header section is there, but what is header? It is just an introductory section of a web page. It's an introductory section. It might be there, it might not be there. So if you come with a document like this and you say, Naman, is my document a valid HTML? I would say definitely your document is a valid HTML document. Wonderful. Now, if you come with a document which has, for example, which has a header inside the body, right? It's here, it's inside the body, and you say my first web page, and it has header, and it has, for example, H1, and you say my first page, web page, and you say, Naman, is my document a valid HTML document? I would say 100% it's a valid HTML document. Why? Because you have not spoiled the rule. You have not taken header out of the body. Header is header. It's a sectional introduction. there can be multiple headers in a document, but there can be never a multiple heads in the document. I hope you guys understand that. So header is first of all. Again, I'll talk about some of the semantical elements and then I'll use them. So header is there. There is one called main. Another, it's not the body. It's inside the body, and it can never replace the body element. Body will be always body. It's a semantical element. What it says, the real contents or the main contents of an article. And I'll just give you very nice examples over here. The main contents of an article comes inside main. Then we have a footer, as someone asked. Footer. So again, whatever I am writing over here, they are all optional sections. Footer, that displays footer information. And again, I'm just telling you these right now, then I'll be using them in my. Then we have some others. There's one called section elements. And as literally its name suggests, it's a section element. Set aside, sorry, we can say for some special sectioning. Then we will have a side element. If you have not used that, a side is very good. A side, something related to the main content, but not mandatory to be added. I'll just give you one example. A site. Now let's take an example over here. If I open Wikipedia and let's see, as we have maybe done before, if I write dogs, I want to search dogs. See here on this page, I would like to emphasize on something. You see that this area looks like the main article. Everyone agrees? This area looks like a main article. But do you see this is some aside information, which if you take it away from here, it really does not make any difference to my dog article. Are you guys because article is in its own completion, but to put something in the context, some extra information, we put aside some elements. Did I make my point clear over here? This, if you take away this dog, temporal range, everything, still my article will not be hurt. So something being kept aside. I'll use that and I'll just do that for you. But did you guys understand that one? Aside, then section if you are making some section, footer if you are making some footer. One very important that I forgot. Nav. Interesting. Nav is what? Navigation element. What is that navigation element? Very important. If I come here, you guys know about anchor tag. If I just write anchor, I'm expecting you know about that one, and I'm just making a dummy link over here. So it has home, and then I have, for example, a href is equal to hash. Again, dummy link, home, contact us. Again, a dummy link, and I say about us, right? And by the way, since anchor tag is a inline element, if you know, that would all go in one line. So I'll put a BR. So someone was asking, Jacob, I think you were asking about BR. BR will do, okay, first of all, let me show you output and then I'll tell you, Jacob, what BR will do. So if I just show you here, now see, home, contact us, and about. You guys have used this anchor tag. Now, do you see that they are all coming in one line? And I'll talk about that, why they are coming in one line. But see here, Jacob, if I just write a BR over here and I hit save, look at that, what has happened. Jacob, do you understand the role of BR over here? BR makes a line break. And it is basically now these are coming in 3 lines. Now, my big question or my thing is over here. These are 3 links. I know that these are links. I am a human being. You know these are links and we have used a href. But if a screen reader or like a person with disability is using a reader for like a screen reader type something, when it comes over here, it does not know that these are the navigational links of the website. To help screen readers, whenever I would put my links, I would put them inside the nav. Now, when a screen reader will come and read my page now, screen reader will reach to nav and it says, okay, all the navigational content should be inside that. So is that a semantical section representing my one of the section of my web page? Should I hope you guys understand? For example, if I have a header section, it will understand this is introductory section. Introductory section. You say, right, it's a header. Then you say, for example, main. So now when a screen reader will say, it will say this is our main topic of discussion. Are you guys getting that one? I hope you understand this semantical arrangement of elements. Semantical arrangement of elements. So these are called semantical elements. Nav, a screen reader will come and on my page and says, okay, all the links are over here. I know Noman websites, all link I can find over here. When it reaches to header, it says, okay, it's a header information. It's just an introductory information for the page. I know about that one. Okay, main, it says, okay, this is the main article. And then you come with something called footer. You say footer, and it says, so you will do what? And I'll just give you another practice. So copy in college. So I'll just say, it will say, okay, this is the footer information. I know that this is the footer, which is more than one main and header of. That's wonderful question. We can have multiple headers and we can have, generally multiple navs as well. But ideally, many we try to have, one we can have many, by the way. But ideally, we would try to have one nav and, one header per page, but it can be any numbers. But ideally, the most ideal thing is that we should have only one. Many got it? So, but again, syntactically, it is not a problem to use many. You can use many of them. I can have multiple headers, but I can have multiple navs. But again, of course, that might confuse our screen readers or something. That okay, which one is the real main section of the document? You know what I mean? So main should be one, only one, and nav should be one where we have all the links being used over there. So long story short, these are called semantical sections. Please bear in mind one very important aspect. If you leave out all these, again, I cut them for a second. Your document is still valid. You know what I mean? If you use them, document is still valid, but because these are all optional sections that you have used. But again, I'm just repeating one for myself. If I take out head, you say, okay, I've used header over here. Again, very bad. I would say this is the most worst HTML document I could ever see. You know what I'm trying to say? Header is not head. Head is our syntactical section that should not be replaced or that cannot be replaced with anything at all. Head should be head always. Body should be body always. But yes, you don't use nav, I'm not worried. You don't use header, I'm not worried. You don't use main, footer, I'm not worried at all. But if you don't use any one of them, I would be worried that why HTML document, why in the world you are not using this document or these basically syntactical elements. Is it clear to everyone? I hope everyone is with me and they're trying to understand and the things, and I hope you are enjoying the content. And what I will do right now is that this is my always habit. I'll just start. This is our main page. So okay. So what I'll do is that I would keep this page as it is, and I would create one more page here in the pages. Let's create one more page, and I would call it, for example, with the today's date, September 13.html. I want to have an HTML page which is called September 13 because I would be making an article where I would be telling you many of the elements together that you might have not heard, or if you have heard, you might. So this is our new page. And now to make it more interesting, why not let's go to index.html and the link that I have made rather than contact us, making it more interesting. September 13, I'm linking it to that page. So if I want to link that, I don't know if you guys know about this one. This is called relative path, and I say connected with September 13. So now what will happen? This page will run, and if I click on the September 13, I have not made that page. This is the page September 13, which has nothing on it, so it just opens up. So I will just make the HTML page. So again, I went a bit faster. I'll just repeat that. I've created a page September 13, and if I just go there, if I click on that, now I am getting that September 13 page. So you see that it said live reload is not possible without header body tag because there was no header body tag. Are you guys getting that one? So these are our today's notes. September 13, 2023. So these are our notes, and I've just given, I will be working on this one, September 13, 2023, right? Let's start talking about some of the other things that we have. So I would write an article on HTML. So I would first of all give a heading, H1, elements in HTML. So this is my main heading, HTML, elements in HTML. The first element that I want to discuss, I would give an H2, heading levels. And that you have discussed, but I will just, give you a very interesting thing. Heading levels. So the first article is there a hierarchy of semantic elements like we would nest nav tags in a section tags regularly, or can it vary? Yes, Stephen, that's a very good question. There is no such rule or such thing that you have to make a hierarchy over there. You might want to place a nav inside header. You might want to place, generally we combine this header and nav in one part. For example, you will say, okay, in my header, there will be nav will be coming inside that. So that's not there is not a hard and fast rule, but main is something that we try to keep separate from everything. Footer is something that we try to keep at the end. But at times you might want to place a nav inside a header or something like that, Stephen. So it's Stephen, it's not a very hard and fast rule, but usually we can, it's up to you, your requirements. Sometimes you want to put them inside one over the other, but sometimes you can just, leave them as they are. Okay, so now let's come back over here. Yeah. So let's come back over here. Heading levels. There are 6 level headings. There are 6 level headings in HTML. Now, what are those? Very interesting. Sorry, in HTML. And now the first is called H1. And right, if I write starting from LT, H1, GT, starting from H1
Yes.
to H6. H1 to H6. There are 6 level heading, H1 to H6. And you might never have realized that, but I would like to tell you that what are those elements? So first of all, it's H1, the biggest. H2, the next. H3, third, third level. H4, fourth level. And H5, fifth level. H6, sixth level. Now I'll run that one. Do you see that these heading level goes like this? H1 is basically the biggest. H2 is the second and third and fourth and fifth. 6 is the lowest one. You guys have used that, but today I'm telling you something very interesting. These heading levels, they look like syntactical H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, but they have a real semantic meaning as well. When I say semantic meaning, do you remember that when a screen reader will come and read your document? Look at that. In my article right now, I have said this is my main heading, elements in HTML. I'm discussing elements in HTML, everything in HTML. Or I can even write tutorial of HTML and I'm just, collecting. Anyhow, this H1 will always be my main heading, even though if I make its text smallest of the size of all. Semantically, this will always be the most important heading of my page. How many of you are getting what I'm trying to say? H1 semantically, if I come here, heading levels. So H1 will always be the most important or main heading of a page, even though the size of text of H1 is made smallest. How many of you understand? Because you have done CSS, I can do one thing. I can just go and make its font size very small. Did you guys know what I'm trying to say? I might want to say, for example, I want to apply a style and I make font size is equal to, the size that the text size is equal to the smallest, maybe, and the text size comes over there. But do you understand one thing? Semantically, this will always be H1. And a screen reader will say, okay, this is the main heading. For sometimes for styling purpose, for designing purpose, is that, oh, no, 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 not at all, Stephen. This is not a bad practice at all. It's just when you need. For example, sometimes, Stephen, you might want to do a styling where, it's up to you that the main heading is always smaller, the second headings are bigger. So you will put that as an H1. But what you can do, you remember, you can say style is equal to, you know, you can say font size, and then see here what I say, 10 pt, for example, or 10 pt, if I just do that. Now, this is the very best example. Steven, see that it's not a bad habit at all. Maybe I want to do that. The main heading has been made smaller. So you will say, again, I will ask you that which one looks like H1. You will say this does not look like H1. I would say no, this is semantically the most important heading of. So when screen reader will come, they will know, okay, this is the main heading. Font size is 10 pt. I'm not concerned. I know that this is H1 and the page will have this as the title heading or the main heading, and all those subheadings will be under that one. So you see, when I put that as, when I put the topic over here, what I did, do you see that I have put the heading H2 over here. So I'm now discussing heading levels, and you will understand very properly. If I have to write another section, this was the heading levels. If I want to write, for example, media, there will be media also we'll discuss. So media in HTML. So I'll put an H2. I will discuss media. Are you guys getting semantically? This is just like that. If you guys remember, when you write that page index, you will say chapter 1. See here, chapter 1. So whenever there will be something after that, it would be called as 1.1. Are you guys getting that one? I am trying to make a point here. And if something comes inside that one, you will say, okay, if it is H3, it would be 1.1.1. Are you guys getting? And again, if I have to make an 1.1.2, can someone help me out? Which element I will use if I want to make 1.1.2 over here? Not the H4. Do you know that if I want to make a level heading of this 1.1 point something, so I want to make a subheading of H2, but that has to be the sibling heading of H3. So what I'll do, remember, I'll say H3 1.1.2. I mean, if you understood what I'm saying, this is the levels of heading. If you remember H3, I'll say H1.1.3. And now, how about there is something inside this H after this H3, like 1.3. So I'll come over here and I'll say, okay, now there is another heading. So I'll say H4 1.1.3.1. I am really hoping that you guys understood the concept I'm trying to make here. So if there is a subheading, so again, if I come to the fourth level and I say, okay, this is the fourth level, or whatever, if I will have to just change that one, I'll just go with that level. So the point I wanted to make over here is that if you have used H1, it would always be the most important heading on the page. And if you see over here, I am using, when I discussed heading levels, I did H2. When I'm discussing media, I will discuss in media. Now listen, media has I'll discuss first of all images. So which element I should use to put a heading images? Who will tell me? Which element should I put? Because images will be a subheading of media. So which heading level I should use with images? Wonderful, Ellen. Wonderful. You understand the concept. So I'll say images. Okay. And Ellen, if, for example, after that, I want to discuss another media, that is audio. So again, I will use H3, audio. So I'll say audio, H3. So you see that these are all. And again, for example, if there was something inside the images I want to discuss, for example, there are, let's roughly, it's not the right concept, but roughly I want to say images can be of two types, vector based and graphic based. So which heading level I should use inside images? If I get the answer, I know that you guys will understand that one. So that will be wonderful. H4, I would write H4 and I'll say vector based, for example. I'm just giving up. And then another H4. and pixel based, for example, something like that. Are you guys understand? So, I want you to understand that H1, H2, H3 are not for useless purpose. They have a solid semantical meaning. They have a solid semantical meaning. And what is that? They are by level, they are basically, like that. Even if the size of the text is smaller, please remember, I did that. I can make that smaller size by using, and again, that's not a bad practice. You can always do that. No one can disallow you. So I say font size, and again, I make it very small, rather. I make it 5 pt, for example, and I say that. And you see that, that my main heading is like, H1 is 5 points only. But I'm not worried because it will always be my main heading, be it whatever size it has. So again, these were all I was just telling you for the example purpose. I'm just removing them because I was just trying to understand. And also here also I would just remove all these and just keep things simple for the time being, just to make things simple. And H3 is missing over here, so I'll just write H3 here. Hello, H3, something like that. So we have this multiple levels of headings. Is everyone clear till this point of time? I'm hoping that you guys learned something new, those who knew already a lot of things, because I'm just now stopping over here. And I feel that we have done a fair bit of thing over here. So, Muhammad, that's wonderful. Thank you. Emmy, you have given H4. Janiel, you are giving a thumbs up. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. We are just again in very early days of our topics. What I'll do for the next, I want to give you a very interesting teaser introduction of next class. I will literally do what we'll do in the next class. That would be our, our next class will be tomorrow in this one. So what I'll do is that I'll take one Wikipedia article, and not only that, that I have taught you over here about the sectioning and everything. I will try to imitate this sectioning over here. As I told you, I will make a side well, and again, we won't be graphically making the same page, but this will be our nav. So I will tell you, I will give you an understanding that how web pages are structured. Actually, you need to know the nitty-gritty details. Being a web developer, you need to know, okay, this would be nav. This might be the header over here. This might be the main. This might be the uh, Stephen, I'll talk about that. Don't worry, because I'll talk about that. That's a very important issue, and I'll give you a very interesting websites where you can just do a lots of good things to your stuff, like your pictures and there are lots of interesting things. Just again to give you another teaser introduction, if I want to give you, there is a called Scoosh.app. I show you a very it's not a Scoosh, it's Scoosh. Just giving you something to play with for today. So Scoosh.app. So it's a very interesting website. It says Scoosh. It literally scooshes out something. If you give it your picture, you drag and drop your picture over here, it will try to lessen its size. If it is 100 kbs, it will try to make it 2 kbs, 3 kbs, etc. I'll do that. Just giving you, and maybe if someone of you curious enough, go and try to find out how Scoosh works and how it basically, compresses our pictures and everything. Okay, that's something that I'll definitely do by myself as well. Don't worry. But I was giving just a teaser introduction. Did you guys understand everything? Scoosh, yes, Scoosh.app. So did you guys understand everything? I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. And tomorrow I'll continue from this point onward. And please bear in mind, we are going to do something real fun stuff. We are going to make some websites like this. We are going to, then we'll start the CSS part, again, then the advanced part. As someone asked, I'll tell you what is ID, what is that. Everything will be discussed. And I would make sure that everyone is with me. And thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you for your comments. And if you have any question, I'm here to answer. Otherwise, I'm stopping recording right now. And I'm here happy.